In a quiet suburban gym, a simple woman faced a challenge that would shock everyone. A black belt demanded a fight, but what she did next left the entire room speechless. This is a story of courage, secrets, and an HOA that tried to control everything until it couldn't. Welcome to HOA Nightmares, where we dive into the wildest neighborhood dramas and Karen showdowns. If you love stories of petty rules, epic confrontations, and jaw-dropping twists, hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and ring the bell so you never miss a tale. The sun dipped low over the manicured lawns of Willow Creek, a gated community where every mailbox was regulation height and every blade of grass was trimmed to HOA perfection. Ellen Harper, a soft-spoken woman in her late 30s, was the kind of person who blended into the background. Her modest sedan, always parked precisely within the lines, never drew attention. Her small ranch-style home, with its neutral beige siding and unremarkable shrubs, was the epitome of compliance. Ellen was a widow, living alone since her husband's passing 5 years prior, and she kept to herself, rarely attending the neighborhood barbecues or HOA meetings. To the residents of Willow Creek, she was invisible, a nobody who paid her dues on time and never caused a ripple. But beneath her plain exterior, Ellen carried a past that no one in Willow Creek could have imagined. The trouble began at the community gym, a sleek facility funded by HOA fees and maintained with the same obsessive precision as the neighborhood itself. The gym was the pride of the HOA president, Carla Reynolds, a woman whose sharp cheekbones and sharper tongue made her the undisputed queen of Willow Creek. Carla, a third-degree black belt in Taekwondo, treated the gym like her personal kingdom. She led fitness classes, barked orders at the cleaning staff, and ensured every member followed her unspoken rules. Her presence was commanding, her blonde hair always pulled into a tight ponytail, her workout gear emblazoned with the gym's logo. To Carla, the gym was a stage, and she was the star. Ellen had joined the gym a few months earlier, not out of enthusiasm, but because her doctor had gently suggested she needed more exercise to manage her stress. She wasn't athletic, her frame was slight, her movements cautious. She stuck to the treadmill, earbuds in, eyes fixed on the floor, avoiding the cliques of yoga moms and weightlifters who dominated the space. But Carla noticed her. To Carla, Ellen's quiet presence was an affront, a challenge to her authority. Why didn't this mousy woman join her classes? Why did she slip in and out without acknowledging Carla's reign? It gnawed at her, this nobody who refused to bow. One crisp autumn evening, as the gym buzzed with its usual crowd, Carla decided to act. She had been watching Ellen for weeks, noting her predictable routine. 30 minutes on the treadmill, a few stretches, then a quick exit. That night, Carla strode across the gym, her sneakers squeaking on the polished floor, and stopped in front of Ellen's treadmill. The room seemed to hush, sensing the shift in the air. Carla's voice was loud enough for everyone to hear as she challenged Ellen to a sparring match in the gym's martial arts studio. It wasn't a request, it was a demand, laced with mockery. A black belt against a nobody? The gym's regulars smirked, expecting Ellen to shrink away, embarrassed. But Ellen didn't shrink. She paused the treadmill, removed her earbuds, and met Carla's gaze. Her face was calm, unreadable, but there was a flicker in her eyes, something that made the room feel smaller. She nodded, accepting the challenge without a word, and followed Carla to the studio. The gym's members trailed behind, drawn by the promise of a spectacle. They expected a quick humiliation, a chance to see Carla assert her dominance. What they got instead was something else entirely. The studio was a stark, padded room with mirrors lining one wall. Carla, confident and theatrical, began warming up with high kicks and crisp punches, her movements a display of power. Ellen stood quietly, her hands clasped in front of her, her gym clothes plain and unassuming. The crowd murmured, some whispering bets on how quickly Carla would end it. But as the match began, something shifted. Carla lunged, aiming a controlled kick at Ellen's midsection, expecting her to flinch or fall. Ellen didn't. Her body moved with a fluid precision, sidestepping the kick and redirecting Carla's momentum with a gentle push. Carla stumbled, her confidence faltering for a split second. The crowd's murmurs grew louder. Carla, now visibly irritated, pressed harder, throwing a series of punches. Ellen's movements were minimal, almost effortless as she deflected each strike. Her hands were soft but firm, guiding Carla's attacks away like water flowing around a stone. It was mesmerizing, unsettling. Carla, Red-faced and sweating, launched a high kick, aiming to end the match with a flourish. Ellen caught her leg mid-air, twisted it just enough to throw Carla off balance, and stepped back as Carla hit the mat. The room went silent. Ellen extended a hand to help Carla up, but Carla swatted it away, scrambling to her feet. The gym's members were stunned. This wasn't supposed to happen. Carla, the black belt, the HOA's iron fist, was supposed to dominate. Yet here was Ellen, unassuming and serene, standing over her like it was nothing. Whispers spread through the crowd. Some called it a fluke. Others wondered if Ellen had some hidden training. Carla, humiliated but refusing to concede, stormed out of the studio, leaving Ellen alone in the center of the mat. The crowd dispersed, but the story didn't end there. Word of the match spread through Willow Creek like wildfire, and with it came questions. Who was Ellen Harper, really? And why had she never shown this side of herself before? By the next morning, the HOA's private online forum was ablaze with speculation. Some praised Ellen's unexpected skill. Others accused her of cheating or hiding some kind of professional training. Carla, nursing her bruised ego, posted a lengthy rant, claiming the match was unfair and demanding a rematch under stricter rules. The neighborhood was divided. Some saw Ellen as a quiet hero, others as a threat to the order Carla had built. Ellen, oblivious to the online storm, continued her routine, showing up at the gym the next day as if nothing had happened. But the tension in Willow Creek was palpable, and it was only a matter of time before it boiled over. The incident at the gym had cracked the facade of Willow Creek's perfect harmony, exposing the fault lines beneath its manicured surface. Ellen's victory, however small, had challenged Carla's authority, and Carla wasn't one to let such a slight go unanswered. The HOA, under her command, began to tighten its grip, issuing petty citations for minor infractions. A mailbox slightly askew, a hedge an inch too tall. Ellen's home, once ignored, now seemed to attract the HOA's scrutiny. A notice appeared in her mailbox, citing her for a non-compliant front door color, though it had been the same beige for years. Ellen, still quiet, still unassuming, paid the fine without protest. But those who watched her closely noticed a change. Her steps were lighter, her posture straighter. At the gym, she no longer stuck to the treadmill. She began using the heavy bags, her strikes precise and powerful, drawing curious glances from the regulars. Whispers grew louder. Some said she'd been a martial artist in her youth. Others speculated she'd trained in secret. The truth was murkier, buried in a past Ellen had worked hard to leave behind. Carla, meanwhile, was plotting. The gym incident had damaged her reputation, and she needed to reclaim her dominance. She rallied her loyalists, HOA board members, gym regulars, and neighborhood busybodies to dig into Ellen's history. They scoured public records, questioned old neighbors, and even contacted the gym's former owners. What they found was sparse but intriguing. Ellen had once lived in a city far away, where she'd been involved in a self-defense program. The details were vague, but it was enough to fuel Carla's paranoia. She saw Ellen not as a quiet widow, but as a calculated threat, someone who'd been hiding her strength all along. As the weeks passed, the HOA's campaign against Ellen intensified. Citations piled up, each more absurd than the last. An unapproved flower pot, a car parked half an inch over the line. The neighborhood watched, waiting for Ellen to crack under the pressure. But Ellen didn't crack. She paid each fine, followed each rule, and continued her quiet routine. At the gym, she trained harder, her movements sharper, her presence undeniable. The regulars began to gravitate toward her, drawn by her calm confidence. A few even asked her for tips, sparking Carla's fury. The breaking point came at the HOA's annual meeting, held in the community center's sterile conference room. Carla, dressed in a power suit, presided over the meeting with her usual flair, rattling off agendas and issuing warnings about rule violations. Ellen sat in the back, her hands folded, her face neutral. But when Carla brought up a new proposal, a rule requiring all gym members to disclose their fitness credentials, Ellen stood. The room froze. She didn't speak, but her presence was enough. The proposal, clearly aimed at her, felt like a trap. Everyone waited, expecting her to back down. Instead, she walked to the front of the room, her steps deliberate, and placed a single sheet of paper on the table. It was a resignation from the gym, written in her neat handwriting. She turned and left, leaving the room in stunned silence. The HOA had won, or so it seemed. But Ellen's story was far from over, and Willow Creek would soon learn just how deep her strength ran. If you're hooked on this wild HOA drama, don't miss what happens next. Subscribe, like, and hit the bell to catch the next chapter of Ellen's epic showdown with Carla and the Willow Creek HOA. Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Ellen's hiding more secrets? Let us know.